Of course, I've been skating since I was a wee nipper.
Yeah?
They're my actual skates.
And you're only one size up from that now, aren't
Yeah. Shame about the rest of me.
you? Your mum said you'll grow into them.
This is the actual ball that I purchased this morning.
Oh!
That's not good. Yeah, I love this sport since 10 o'clock this morning.
Of course, as we head into spring, we're looking at the start of two of the big American sports seasons here in the UK, being the British American Football Association season, BAFA, and the British Baseball Federation, BBF, will be starting their season. Of course, both fantastic to watch. If you've watched the NFL, you've watched the MLB, get out to your local team. There's plenty of them. Go and see them. Of course, people don't even know these teams and these leagues exist.
No, it's surprising that because the nice thing is, like you've said, when these NFL season finishes, when the baseball seasons finish in America, most people sort of turn off their TVs and radios and stuff and think that's it. But the sport continues and it thrives in this country.
And that's the beauty of American football, isn't it, Gary? Because you've got the NFL and the college football that runs all through the winter.
Yep.
Then you get to the summer and you get the British stuff as well. The British fans have got it all catered for. Not like baseball, because baseball's both played at the same time. So you've got this period over Christmas where you've got nothing to do, nothing to watch. And what do you end up doing? You go to American football and start watching.
Baseball, though, anyway, you've got nothing to do for 7 innings. You just sit there and then...
It's just rounders.
Exactly.
Just rounders.
Well, that's the beauty of baseball. It's a summer sport, it's pastoral. It's not about the action on the field, it's about the relaxation in the stands.
No, I'm not buying this.
You know, that's what it's about, Dave. It's a game that you can dip in and out of. You know, you turn up 3 innings late, you leave a couple of innings early. You've still seen a game. You still enjoyed the summer, smelled that fresh air, taking in the scent of that freshly cut grass. That's baseball, Dave.
No, they're both being played at exactly the same time on a Sunday. Which one are you going to go to? Are you going to go and sit and watch some American football?
They're playing
or are you
exactly
going to
the
go
same time on a Sunday. I'm going to watch both. I'm going to catch a couple of innings
Whoa,
of baseball.
whoa,
go and
guys,
football,
guys.
and then I'm
No,
going to come
no,
back and
no,
find
Guys,
out.
I've got an answer to this one. I think it's time to do a premature speculation.
I agree.
Premature speculation.
Yes,
It's come to that.
I'm afraid so. David, would you like to explain to the viewers what this is?
For people who've not heard us do a podcast before, premature speculation is simple. Two of us are given 60 seconds each to argue a particular topic. And then it's up to the viewers or the listeners to decide the winner.
So, you seem to be arguing your cause for one particular...
I suppose I'm standing up for American football.
So,
today.
James, I take it you're standing up for...
I'm sitting down for baseball.
Baseball. I'm afraid
apparently.
definitely an armchair supporter. So,
Okay, gentlemen, your time starts now.
So why baseball, you ask? Well, when we're touring American sports, baseball is the quintessential American game. In the great melting pot of the US, where everyone has got a shot at the American dream, baseball acknowledges that, and it gives you that shot yourself. You don't have to be the biggest, quickest, fastest to play this game. You can be a fat, bald, middle-aged man with 2 bum knees, and you've got a shot as long as you can hit or throw. You don't even have to do your own running if you've got those bum knees. Baseball will give you the pinch hitter to do it for you, because baseball is fair. Football's not fair. One loss and your season's over. Baseball will always give you another chance, another strike, another ball, another inning, another game. It's a long summer. Why waste it on one game? Enjoy the whole summer. Baseball is the best sport for the fan because it keeps that dream alive for the fan. No one believes we could be that 300-pound monster breaking the line of scrimmage. We couldn't even do that as kids, but we could hit, we could throw a ball, and we can still do that now, so we can dream. It keeps us close to the game, we suspend our disbelief, and we keep that dream alive.
What can I say about American football? Well, first off, people are still watching American football because baseball, it's trying to find ways to make itself shorter so that people are actually interested enough to sit through it. And in UK, they've managed that somewhat by getting rid of the 7th inning stretch by making it a 7-inning game, but they've doubled it, so it's 2 games back to back. You've got to sit through 14 innings of it. American football at least is short in comparison. And you say about running, in American football you don't have to run far, you just have to run 10 yards, and if you can't do that, just get in the way. That's what I do. That's what I tried to do anyway until I fell on my backside. But that's irrelevant. At this point in the Prem spec, you'd have a ball fly through the air in slow motion, turning, because that is as cinematic as American football gets. It's the sport with the best films, with the best books, with the best stars, both playing it and involved in it. What's baseball got? Baseball's got Kevin Costner. What could you get that's any worse than that?
Ooh. Draft day.
Don't even say that. This is a Prem spec set 2 years ago.
Dare I say, please, please,
don't let
people.
Dave do another Prem spec about American football.
Yeah.
You should have thrown the ball. We could have let it spiral across me. It could have inspired me.
It wouldn't have spiraled, mate.
It's a football. It's cinematic.
Look at it. Look how cinematic that is. Look at it be going like that.
It's just beautiful.
Just perfect. I'll get the spiral on it. Watch. No, it's just not.
It's going to hit me in the face. It's all going to go wrong. Like you say, Dave, it is a sport that's played in the summer, and there are a lot of teams. I mean, it's pretty much most all over the country, including Scotland and Wales. And they've all got a team in some park nearby. So it's worth checking out the website, BAFA. It's BritishAmericanFootball.org. If you go on their website and have a look, see where the teams are. The fixtures are just going up now, I think. So, you know, the schedule. So you're bound to find a team nearby you. Go along, have a look, give them some support. Why not have a go? Some teams have taster days. So go along and have a go.
Unless you're a middle-aged man with 2 bum knees and a vehicle.
Like I say, go along and have a go.
Play some baseball.
Stickball.
Yeah, then play some baseball.
Yeah.
But the standard of baseball in this country has been incredible, and you've got Great Britain plays in the what's it called?
Oh, the World Baseball
World
Classic.
Baseball Classic.
In the preliminary sort of.
But it's good to see. It's
but
good to see the British
it's good
guys
because they play against teams of a similar level. They're not getting steamrolled.
Yeah, playing teams like Canada, which you'd think would have a better baseball team. But mind you, Toronto. Enough said. Let's move on.
This is your Farnham Report. Today, I was at the Merseyside Nighthawks as they travelled to Edinburgh to play the Wolves. This was a rematch of last season's Brit Bowl final, a game that most people still talk about. It was a great game. It went to overtime. A tip pass separated it. These 2 teams went toe-to-toe and nearly matched each other. It's okay though, Edinburgh Wolves were out for revenge today. First quarter, game gets off to a little bit of a slow start. Both teams feeling each other out, nothing really sort of going, no momentum going. But before you know it, in the second quarter, the Nighthawks are up 14-0. It's okay, Edinburgh starting to make a little bit of a comeback. They get to put some points on the board, 14-6. But just before half-time, Adrian Hodges finds a space, throws the ball all the way down the field. An amazing 50-yard pass, takes it in for a touchdown. It's 21-6 at half-time. Edinburgh Wolves know what they need to do. They need to come out in the second half, they need to stop the Nighthawks, they need to get possession, they need to get back in this game. They do it, they don't. Adrian Hodges once again finds a space, drops back, 28-6. What a great pass that was. It's okay though, because it's going to get worse for them. Because Loren gets the ball, starts running around, doing his mazy runs, he takes it in for 35-6. Edinburgh Wolves try and get themselves back in the game with a pick 6 late on, and they manage to get another touchdown way later in the game. The final score was 42-20. I want to say there was a great play in the game where Hodges ducks out of a challenge. I'm pretty sure everyone in the stands thought he'd been sacked, and he just reappears, and all the defenders are just stood staring into space. He manages to loft the ball down the field, and that sets up the score at 35-6 at the time. What can I say? This was a game that we expected to be way closer than it was. It ended up being a bit of a more difficult game for Edinburgh. They've got 5 games on the road now. The Merseyside Nighthawks are going to be so excited for this season. They've got a 4-hour journey home, but I know that they're happy getting on that bus.
We were expecting it to be a hard, close game. It was definitely a hard game, but you can see the work that our guys have really put in through camp and through the off-season, and the motivation that's come from the coaching staff into the players, and we've recruited really well as well, which has really benefited us in some key areas as well. So we were hopeful for today, and I'm glad it's turned out our way, really.
We're another year on, another year experience in terms of our kind of key players in there. We had our starting running back from last year, Joey Douglas, couldn't make it today because of work, and the other guys really stepped up. We've recruited really well, and the one hole last year, there was we maybe needed one more guy on the O-line than last year, and an extra back or two, and we picked up both of those, and it showed today. Still plenty of work to do, but a great first showing.
The other big news of the day, East Kilbride Pirates haven't lost a regular season game in 4 years. Well, they have now. They went down to Lancashire Wolverines, the reverse journey of the Nighthawks basically, and they've gone down there and they ended up losing 31-28 in what was a fantastic game. If you get a chance to see the highlights of this game, go see it, because this is a team that has only lost to the London Blitz twice in the last 3 years. This was a good team, and now they've lost to the Lancashire Wolverines. They're doing something special there. Get a chance, go see them. Tottenham Report out.
I think a lot of people who don't follow American sports particularly closely don't understand this idea of a draft. That a player will be picked up by a team that is the worst team in the league, and then he'll go straight to play for them without taking any offers or anything.
But in the NFL, certainly it's one of the big contributing factors to maintaining the parity in that sport, which is why I think football is probably the most exciting in the American sports, because it's the most unknown. You can never accurately predict really who's going to be the top team in any given season. And in every given season in football, you'll always see a team go from bottom to first, based on the previous season's form.
The reason I bring this up is it came to light the other day that the NHL's got a list. The agents of the players have got a list of.
It was done on a journalist survey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The journalist contacted a few of the top player agents, put this question to them.
Yeah. Which team would you not want to be traded to? And there's a no trade list that exists in the NHL.
Oh, is there?
Well,
like hell, I'm going there, kind of.
Between a player and an agent, the player gives his agent a no trade list.
Now this is where it's interesting, because you're breaking into the business and you'll take any opportunity that comes your way to get there. But once you're there and you can afford to be a little bit choosy, maybe you're in a position where you say, I'm not playing in Toronto, I'm not playing in Edmonton. It was basically all the Canadian teams.
I'm not playing Calgary.
All the Canadian teams and Carolina was one of the southern teams, small market southern teams.
But it's what I said, isn't it? Once you get that foot on the ladder and they start establishing themselves, if they're a good player, then they can dictate what happens to their career. But they just want to get on that ladder.
Tim Tebow, he's never played a game in Canada, but there's contractual football rights in Canada that are owned by Montreal, isn't it?
Yeah, the Alouettes.
The Alouettes. So if Tebow ever wanted to go north of the border to try and reignite his playing career, he'd either have to go to the Alouettes, or the team that signed him would have to deal with the Alouettes. If the player doesn't go to that team that's drafted him, that team's still getting paid. So they're either getting that player or they're getting the value of that player. That's a team that's never invested 1 cent in developing that player. No. They haven't brought him on. He's been brought on by a college team. They've never given him a paycheck. They've never even given him a cup of coffee to come in and sign his contract.
So this really good player that gets picked up in the draft by a team that's done absolutely rubbish the season before can go.
And that's why.
And he can't refuse to go there.
No, and that's the point I was making about. It's a good system depending on where he's sitting on. It's a fair system depending on where he's sitting. It's fair for the teams. It's fair for the fans. Keeps the game interesting. Keeps parity. It's a great equaliser when it comes to the big market versus the small market team. But for the labour, the employee, the player, it's a terrible system. It's not fair to the players.
But they know what they're getting into.
For people from the UK like us who are used to the BASN ruling in football and all the impact that's had on player freedoms.
What's the BASN ruling?
Granted, well, the football used to have something similar to the reserve clause which you see in American sports, baseball especially, where even when a player wasn't contracted, his team would hold his registration. They didn't have to transfer that registration to another team without obtaining a fee for him. So case often was, player was either had a choice of you re-sign for the team that owns your registration, or you're not playing football anymore, which is similar to what occurs in the US. Bosman ruling undid all that. It gave players contractual freedom, not full. There were still some restrictions, and there was another judgment.
Well, talking of drafts, of course, at the moment the big talk with the likes of the NFL is of the players that are already established, the free agents that are looking to trade themselves to different teams and stuff. I mean, I find it bizarre the way that the loyalty is not there, and especially, for example, should we say, DeMarcus Murray, who was a big impact player for the Dallas Cowboys last year, quite rightly has demanded the attention, has suddenly come up on the free agents list, and now he's saying he wants to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, and his teammates are going, you can't go there, don't go there, because there's obviously that bitter rivalry and nastiness there. So I mean, other teammates are going to have a say in where he goes. It's wrong. But again, you got all these players like Revis, for example, guy that should be hanging his boots up soon, I would have said. He's had enough time in the NFL, gone back from New England Patriots to New York Jets. And it's like I said before, people are like, all the merchandise that all got destroyed, people are going, I can get it back out now.
Yeah. But
and it's all about that.
The point of loyalty you make is an interesting one. Why does any player owe loyalty to any team? I think
it's about money. It is about money, mate.
Because
the whole
they
thing
pay
is.
For him, but they might pay his wages, but he does the work for those wages. It's a one-way street, that loyalty street. It's one the owners like to use as leverage in contract negotiations, try and get the fans riled up against the player. But really, that ownership, that player gets injured. But you're an NFL player, contract cut, lost your money.
I was going to say, in the loyalty thing, you see it, I know we're not a football podcast, but we see it then. How many times have you seen a player go to a team for big bucks, scores his goal, and the first thing he does is runs up to the stand, kissing the badge on the shirt?
Yeah,
I'll go where the money's paying me.
False loyalties it is, yeah.
He's just shown loyalty for his new fans, though.
To his new fans who are paying for his lovely car. Yeah, they're paying for his lovely car sitting in the car park. And his big house in his big mansion and the new pool and all that.
Yeah, I mean, this feeds into something that's a bit of a bugbear for me. He's
looking a bit irate there.
This is something I've noticed sat up in left field, viewing the whole sports landscape laid out before me. And I'll tell you what it is. It's this placing of sport by the media, especially, but by the whole sports machinery, the ownership and the management and anything. It's the placing of sport in this hermetically sealed bubble, trying to separate it from a wider context, from the community it sits in, from the social issues surrounding it. Sport, for me, it's at its best and it's most noble when it goes beyond that little bubble the media and sports ownership try to put it into. I'm talking about things like the struggle against the racist politics in apartheid South Africa. Sport plays a massive part in the ending of apartheid in South Africa. Baseball, my own personal favourite, its greatest shame was the banning of black players from it, but its greatest triumph was the integration of that sport when Jackie Robinson was the first player to play for a major league team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, in 1947. This is 1947. This is years in advance of the gains made in the civil rights struggle in the US. He was playing for the Dodgers at a time when the country itself was still segregated. When sport takes the lead, society will invariably follow. And the same media that paints athletes as role models is the same media that shoots them down every time they try to open their mouths about something that is not in that little bubble. You talk about your game that you played tonight, you talk about your endorsement deals, you talk about how you set your stall out and you did it for the fans, and how the 11th man played a great part and you're going to do it for the team. Don't talk about your politics. The media that comes down hard, you get back in your box, you're a player, you're a role model, so be a role model and don't say anything worthwhile to the kids that might be listening to you. No, you've got to teach them that, you know, they need to buy you the Nikes you've got on your feet, the sports drink you've got in your hand. Sport is bigger than the sport itself. It is interconnected to the society we live in, and it leads on social issues, and when it does lead on social issues, we all benefit from it. That's what I've seen from left field.
Can't say I can't agree with it.
Look what you've started. You're to blame.
Sorry.
Good point though, James. Good point. But it plays a big part in sport then, but it's that restriction.
Yeah, it's the unnatural restriction, as far as I'm concerned, that I think makes sports less than it should be.
They're quick to go, get out there and sell the stuff. Look at me wearing my new training shoes. Look at me with this new ball. What about this bat I'm using? It's great. Yeah. Buy this, buy this.
I think there's some positive signs that things might be changing. I mentioned it briefly, the Black Lives Matter protests we saw a lot of in the NBA.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
This year, a lot of support
especially
from the players.
Especially the Rockets game as well.
And there was talk. I mean, I think the league was trying to clamp down on it initially, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a case of any NBA player that tried to voice their opinion about it was met with a swift word from head office first before you even hit send on your phone or your computer or even just talk to your fellow teammates. But at the same time, the NBA have made a lot of changes this year to try and make themselves look like they're not so jurisdictive of applying the rules to certain things. I know there was a lot to do this year in the NFL with domestic abuse, and straight away the NBA tried to make itself look bigger and better than the other leagues by instantly, well, we don't support this and we don't condone this. And I think there's a lot of that into sports as well with the American sports. You don't see it really with the British side of things. It's anything you do will do bigger or better quicker, and we came out with it first.
I think I don't know what it is, but it seems to me if you compare in football, soccer to the US sports, for some reason the US athletes seem to be a little more politically conscious, or at least a little more willing.
Well, their soapbox is bigger than ours.
Just a bit. But we're going to be providing the soapbox. This is it. This locker room is going to be the hub of American sports.
But if you talk out a term, the powers that be might lock that door on us.
Is that you?
No, I haven't. I handed the key to the other guy. He asked for it.